Okay, so the first thing is setting up your workspace. As you can see, I keep everything wide open, which is a total lie for the camera. Usually this is all super cluttered and then I just kind of free it up like that. But, since I have guests over today, um, make sure you have some room. And that's really all there is to it. I like to have my pens in little glasses so I can kind of reach for, find what I'm reaching for, but not really necessary. Sometimes it's kind of nice to have a mess because you'll also, if you have to, the thing about mess on a desk is sometimes it's helpful not to immediately have access to the thing that you think you need, because you'll reach for something and you'll touch something else and go, oh, wait a second, I forgot that I had that. That's going to be really interesting. Let me see if I can put that in. So for the purpose of demonstration, I'm keeping it clean, but, don't feel like you have to have a pristine workspace for this or for anything. I think it really is, that's just a procrastination thing. Sometimes you just have to really clear it off and go. Anyway, let's get started and make some ink blots. Get a little stack of paper going, and then prepare your ink. As I said, I like these little eyedropper bottles, so just unscrew that. Take a little of the mothership ink here, put that in. Oop. There you go. Screw that back up. And if you buy these, they're like $1 or $2 each. Get a bunch because they also have a tendency to dry up, but they are super useful. And so you can make your blots in a number of different ways, and they all involve these duster cans. I'm going to break open a new one for you, only because this has frustrated me in the past. When you first get it, there's a little safety up here that you have to break off. There you go. And comes with a little straw that you attach here. Sometimes I cut it a little bit shorter, but this way you actually do get a nice flow of air going. All right. So you can do the ink blot in a number of different ways. The most basic thing is you just put down a little drop. And as you can see, it's really not a lot. It's a tiny, tiny amount that I've now already smeared. That's okay, because that's going to become part of the character maybe. That's the most basic ink blot you can possibly do, is just do a little line of ink, spray on it, and you'll immediately get this, which could be horns, could be legs, could be a collar, could be any number of things. And for the Daily Monster site, I usually film doing the whole thing, so I would immediately start drawing on this. But we're talking more about the drawing process. So what I like to do is just make a bunch of ink blots at the same time and then look which one sort of speaks to me. So we're going to take this and just put it aside and make another one. And again, just very little. I mean, you can just see that I'm doing 2 or 3 little drops of ink. Sort of a beginner's mistake is just putting a whole lot of ink on, and it's just a mess and it warps your paper. Like that. So that right there could be any number of things. And I'm going to just keep going, and I'm going to make maybe like 10, 15 ink blots at the same time. I like using the toothbrush, and so the way I do it is I just take the eyedropper and again put maybe 3, 4, 5 drops to charge the brush, and then put it down like that, and you can immediately see how that's different. And I'm going to take these out of the way because they're just flapping in the wind right now. So you can see already how that's different with the toothbrush, how you immediately get this very, very heavy black shape, which is great. And again, just going to make a bunch of these. The ink does dry pretty quickly, so you have to kind of keep recharging the toothbrush. Just try to make some kind of interesting basic shapes to start with. I should talk a little bit about the technique for blowing the ink, because it is, as it turns out, there is a trick to it, which is you need to get fairly close up on the ink. So you put the ink down like this, and then tilt the can a little bit, and really you can see I'm almost on the paper, and I'm also really pressing down on the nozzle. Let me show you how it works if you don't do it like that, just so you can see what the difference is. So again, put down a little bit of ink, lay it down. So if I'm going from up here, you see what happens, which is not a whole lot. It's not very pretty. Whereas if I'm going right here, all kinds of interesting things happen. Let's see. All right, quickly clean that up. Also, ink will spill. That's all right, and that's why, keep some tissues at hand so you can just wipe that off. And no need to be too precious about any of it, but, it's on film, so I'm trying to make it look nice. All right. So let's do a few more of these blots. And don't spread the ink out too far, because you want there to be liquid for the can to move. As you can see, you can also do 2 or 3 ink blots on one page, and you can have several characters on each page. Sometimes it's nice when the toothbrush gets a little bit dried out, because you get this nice little sort of dry brush effect. And you can see, from that last one, it's almost dry already. Where it's glossy, it's still wet, and this other stuff, it needs a few minutes to dry. So one of the nice effects of doing, 10, 15 blots at the same time is by the time you're done with the blowing, you also have some that are immediately ready to use. And that's nice. Don't overblow it, because I could totally blow on this and have more fiddly, frilly bits going off to the side. But there's already something really interesting about this that I like, so, sometimes leave it. And again, I'll do one as a sort of example of what hasn't worked for me, just so you can see that. Let's see here. Because you can definitely overblow these guys. So if you do this, and then you blow on it again, and you blow on it again, and again, and again, and again, then you get very complex shapes that have contradictory motion. Because one of the things that's nice about the ink blots, doing them the way I do them, is you pick up on the flow of the air, and it gives you a nice sort of organic liquid shape that could exist in nature. Whereas this is sort of, it becomes more contrived to me. But at the same time, you might look at this and go, oh, no, this is how I love to do it, in which case I encourage you to. Okay, and I think we're almost done with this part. I'm going to do one more big one with just the ink. And I'll show you what it looks like when you just have a tremendous amount of ink and it's too much. It just gets very messy very quickly. You get these very, very heavy marks, which can be interesting, but you will mess up your desk, and you'll get these sort of very, very heavy, big shapes that take a long time to dry. It's not my personal taste, but you can go that route, certainly.